In this video, I'm about to reveal 45 deodorant brands that mess with your hormones and exactly why, plus 10 clean, non-toxic, and truly safe options that you can rely on, starting with number 45, Degree. Degree markets itself as strong, long-lasting protection, but its formula includes several ingredients linked to endocrine disruption. The biggest concern is the use of aluminum, zirconium, tetrachlorohydrex.gly, a compound that blocks sweat ducts by forming temporary plugs. While effective for dryness, research in toxicology in vitro shows aluminum salts can accumulate in skin tissue over time and interfere with estrogen receptor pathways. Degree also uses synthetic fragrance blends, which commonly contain phthalates chemicals known to disrupt hormones by mimicking or blocking natural hormonal signals. These fragrance mixes aren't disclosed individually, meaning you never know which endocrine active compounds might be inside. The formula often includes PEG compounds, which can increase skin permeability, allowing more of the product's chemicals to enter deeper layers of tissue. With daily use, Degree's mix of aluminum, fragrance chemicals, and penetration enhancers creates a long-term exposure profile that can interfere with hormonal balance. Number 44. Dove. Dove's gentle branding hides a formula packed with hormone-altering ingredients. The product uses aluminum salts to block sweat ducts, which studies have shown may influence estrogen receptor activity when stored in breast tissue. Dove also relies heavily on synthetic fragrances, a broad category known to include phthalates, chemicals associated with disrupted testosterone and estrogen signaling. The formula contains cyclopentasiloxane, D5-silicone, in many versions, which has been studied for its potential to interfere with normal hormone function in high or prolonged exposure scenarios. Dove's moisturizers often contain parabens, another class of endocrine disruptors documented to act like weak estrogen mimics inside the body. Because Dove deodorants target people with sensitive skin, users tend to apply more frequently, which increases chemical accumulation over time. The brand feels soft and moisturizing, but its mix of silicones, parabens, aluminum, and phthalate-bearing fragrances makes it one of the more hormonally concerning daily-use deodorants on store shelves. Number 43. Old Spice. Old Spice is famous for its bold scent, but that scent comes from complex synthetic fragrance chemicals, many of which fall into the category of endocrine active compounds. These fragrance blends often include DEP, diethyl phthalate, a known hormone disruptor linked to testosterone suppression, and altered thyroid signaling. Old Spice formulas also use aluminum-based antiperspirant salts in several versions, which have been shown to accumulate in skin and interact with estrogen receptors. Its strong fragrance system includes musks, aldehydes, and fixatives, all designed to last for hours, but notorious for long-term biological interaction. Strongly scented deodorants tend to contain the highest number of undisclosed fragrance chemicals, increasing hormonal exposure risk. Old Spice also uses propylene glycol, which enhances absorption of other chemicals deeper into the skin. This makes the hormonal impact of fragrance compounds and aluminum even more significant. The smell is iconic, but the chemical profile makes Old Spice a high-intensity hormone-disrupting deodorant, especially for daily or heavy users. Number 42. Axe. Axe is built around aggressive, long-lasting synthetic scents, which require phthalate-based fixatives and fragrance stabilizers to achieve their signature staying power. Phthalates disrupt endocrine communication by acting as testosterone suppressors and interfering with normal reproductive hormone signaling. Many Axe formulas contain aluminum chlorohydrate, which can accumulate in tissue and interact with estrogen receptors, increasing hormonal exposure risks. Axe also uses complex fragrance mixtures that include synthetic musks, which studies in environmental health perspectives linked to hormonal imbalances and potential thyroid disruption. Its formulas often contain BHT, a preservative associated with altered endocrine activity in lab studies. Individuals who frequently use Axe multiple times per day face higher exposure since their hormones are still developing. Axe may smell strong and last long, but that staying power relies heavily on endocrine disruptive chemistry, making it one of the more hormonally risky deodorant choices. Number 41. Secret. Secret uses aluminum zirconium antiperspirant salts, which block sweat glands but have been studied for potential hormone interaction, especially around estrogen pathways. Aluminum accumulation in underarm tissue has been documented in multiple human tissue analyses. The brand also uses parabens in several versions, acting as weak estrogen mimics. Parabens' hormone-disrupting effects are one of the most documented concerns in personal care toxicology. Secret's signature fragrances rely on synthetic scent chemicals, many of which include phthalate stabilizers. Phthalates disrupt hormonal signaling and can interfere with fertility-related hormone pathways. Some secret formulas include cyclomethicone and dimethicone, silicones that increase absorption of other chemicals through the skin. Although marketed as gentle and effective for women, Secret's ingredient list includes multiple classes of chemicals connected to hormonal disruption, making it a deceptively strong contributor to everyday endocrine load. Number 40. Suave. Suave deodorants rely heavily on synthetic fragrances, which are typically stabilized with phthalates. These chemicals mimic or interfere with hormones like estrogen and testosterone. Phthalates are among the most widely recognized endocrine disruptors in everyday cosmetics. Suave also uses antiperspirant aluminum compounds in several versions. These aluminum salts accumulate under the arms, where lymphatic and breast tissue are located, raising concern about long-term hormone interaction. Many Suave versions include chemical preservatives and penetration enhancers that increase the skin's permeability. Propylene glycol, for example, helps other chemicals travel deeper into skin tissue. Because Suave is marketed as affordable, most users apply it more generously and more frequently, unintentionally increasing hormonal exposure levels. Suave may seem simple and budget-friendly, but its mix of aluminum salts, phthalate-containing fragrance, and absorption enhancers makes it a consistent endocrine-disrupting deodorant, especially with daily use. Number 39. Arm & Hammer deodorant. Arm & Hammer might look safer because of the baking soda branding, but most of its regular line formulas contain several hormone-disrupting ingredients. The biggest concern is the presence of synthetic fragrance blends, which commonly include phthalates, chemicals known to interfere with estrogen, testosterone, and thyroid hormone signaling. Many versions also contain triclosan substitutes or antibacterial agents that impact the skin microbiome. Research shows that microbiome disruption can indirectly affect hormone balance by altering cortisol and estrogen processing pathways. Arm & Hammer's formulas often include propylene glycol and PEG compounds, which enhance skin absorption. This creates deeper penetration of fragrance chemicals into tissue, increasing endocrine exposure. Even the baking soda itself can cause microirritation, making the underarm skin barrier thinner and more permeable to chemical penetration. Arm & Hammer may feel fresh and affordable, but hormonally it functions like a fast-absorbing, fragrance-heavy deodorant that introduces multiple endocrine-active compounds into the body daily. Number 38. Speed Stick. Speed Stick relies heavily on strong, long-lasting artificial fragrances, which almost always contain phthalate stabilizers. Phthalates disrupt hormone signaling by blocking androgen receptors and altering estrogen metabolism. The formula frequently includes triclosan derivatives in older or extended protection versions, which can affect thyroid hormone balance by interfering with iodine pathways. Speed Stick also contains propylene glycol, a penetration enhancer that allows other chemicals, especially fragrance compounds, to move deeper into the skin. Several versions contain BHT, a preservative connected in research to endocrine disruption at higher exposures. Because Speed Stick is marketed for sweat-heavy users, people often reapply multiple times per day, increasing overall chemical load. Despite its masculine branding and fresh scent, Speed Stick's blend of phthalate-based fragrances, hormone-disruptive preservatives, and absorption enhancers make it a high-risk deodorant for long-term endocrine exposure. Number 37. Lady Speed Stick. Lady Speed Stick uses a similar chemical system to the men's version, but with additional perfume fixatives to create sweeter, longer-lasting scents. These scents rely on phthalates, which mimic estrogen and disrupt natural hormone signaling. The formula uses aluminum-based antiperspirant salts in certain versions, which can accumulate in breast tissue. Research shows aluminum may bind weakly to estrogen receptors, creating concern for long-term exposure. Lady Speed Stick also contains cyclopentasiloxane in several versions, an ingredient studied for potential endocrine activity and hormonal pathway interference. Propylene glycol increases absorption of these chemicals through freshly shaved underarms, a common behavior among women. The combination of perfumed fragrance chemicals, aluminum compounds, and silicones creates a high-exposure situation that can disrupt estrogen balance over time. Number 36. Mitchum. Mitchum is known for 48 to 72-hour protection, but that strength comes from high-concentration aluminum salts, one of the most aggressive antiperspirant systems used in drugstore deodorants. Aluminum zirconium tetrachlorohydrex.gly can accumulate in underarm tissue, and studies show it may interact with estrogen signaling when stored long-term. Mitchum also uses synthetic fragrance systems with phthalate stabilizers, which alter testosterone balance and interfere with reproductive hormone signaling. Many formulas include quaternary ammonium compounds, powerful antimicrobials that disrupt the skin microbiome. A disrupted skin microbiome can influence hormone pathways by altering cortisol production and the metabolism of estrogen-like compounds. Mitchum's formulas also rely on cyclic silicones, which enhance penetration and have been studied for potential endocrine-interfering effects. The long-wear promise seems appealing, but achieving that longevity requires heavy chemical layering, making Mitchum a major contributor to hormonal exposure. Number 35. Right Guard. Right Guard deodorants use aggressive antiperspirant formulas with high aluminum content, which block sweat glands but may interfere with estrogen receptor activity when stored in tissue. Many versions incorporate triclosan-style antibacterial agents, which have been linked to thyroid hormone disruption by interfering with iodine uptake in T4 to T3 conversion pathways. Right Guard also contains fragrance-heavy formulations with synthetic musks and phthalates, both categories associated with hormonal imbalance and reproductive hormone changes. Propylene glycol and PEG compounds enhance skin absorption, allowing more of these chemicals to enter deeper layers of the skin. Because Right Guard targets sports and sweat-heavy users, people tend to apply large amounts daily, increasing cumulative endocrine load. Right Guard may feel strong and protective, but chemically it's a multi-source hormone disruptor, especially with repeated daily use. Number 34. Gillette Deodorant. Gillette deodorants use aluminum chlorohydrate in concentrations similar to clinical-strength antiperspirants. Aluminum compounds can interfere with estrogen pathways and accumulate in skin and lymph tissue. Gillette's formulas also rely on complex synthetic fragrance chemicals, designed for all-day scent. These fragrances often contain DEP, a phthalate associated with testosterone suppression and altered thyroid hormone activity. Several versions include chemical preservatives, like BHT, which studies link to hormone receptor interference. Gillette also uses cyclic silicones that help the product spread smoothly but can increase absorption of other ingredients. Because Gillette is marketed for athletic men, heavy application is common, boosting exposure levels significantly. The combination of aluminum, phthalates, silicones, and preservatives makes Gillette a high-intensity endocrine disruptor, despite its familiar branding. Number 33. Brut. Brut's classic fragrance is iconic, but it comes from synthetic fragrance chemicals, often containing phthalates and artificial musks. These substances disrupt androgen pathways, affecting testosterone signaling and reproductive hormone balance. Brut also uses formaldehyde-releasing preservatives in some versions, which have been examined for endocrine disruptive potential. Older Brut formulas historically contained triclosan, and while many versions have shifted away, similar antibacterial agents may still appear depending on region. These compounds are linked to thyroid hormone disruption. Brut's strong fragrance means users inhale and absorb more endocrine-active compounds through the skin. Its formulas also include propylene glycol, which increases absorption of other chemicals. Number 32. Irish Spring Deodorant. Irish Spring deodorants rely heavily on aggressive fragrance complexes, which often include phthalates, compounds linked to androgen suppression and estrogen pathway interference. The brand's signature fresh, sharp scent requires strong fragrance fixatives that stay on the skin for hours, increasing exposure time. Many Irish Spring formulas also use triclosan-style antibacterial ingredients that can disrupt thyroid hormone conversion and interfere with normal metabolism. The deodorant contains propylene glycol, a penetration enhancer that helps other chemicals reach deeper layers of the skin where the lymphatic system is located. Because Irish Spring targets extreme freshness, users often apply it multiple times daily, dramatically increasing endocrine exposure. Irish Spring smells intense and lasts long, but that staying power depends on high-intensity chemical fragrances and hormone-disrupting preservatives, making it risky for consistent daily use. Number 31. Adidas Deodorant. Adidas deodorants are marketed toward athletes, meaning their formulas rely on long-wear artificial fragrances stabilized with phthalates. These phthalates can interfere with testosterone production and disrupt thyroid hormone pathways, especially after repeated exposure. The antiperspirant versions use aluminum chlorohydrate, which has been shown in lab studies to accumulate in skin tissue and bind weakly to estrogen receptors. Adidas also uses preservatives like BHT and synthetic musks, both categories associated with hormone receptor interference. Because athletes sweat more and reapply deodorants frequently, exposure levels increase, making the ingredients more hormonally relevant. Adidas may feel strong and sport-ready, but its combination of aluminum salts, phthalate-heavy fragrances, and synthetic musks makes it a surprisingly potent endocrine disruptor for active users. Number 30. Band deodorant. Band deodorants use a strong fragrance fixative system designed for all-day protection. These fragrance mixtures commonly contain phthalates, which interfere with estrogen and androgen receptors and can alter reproductive hormone signaling. Band also uses aluminum compounds, which accumulate in underarm tissue and may influence estrogen-like pathways over long-term use. Several Band formulas contain preservatives and parabens, known endocrine disruptors that behave like weak estrogen mimics inside the body. Older Band versions included triclosan, and although many reformulations removed it, similar antibacterial substitutes remain that still disrupt the thyroid axis. Band's promise of continuous protection comes at the cost of synthetic fragrance load plus aluminum exposure, placing it among hormone-influencing deodorants when used daily. Number 29. Tag deodorant. Tag deodorant uses heavy synthetic musks, aldehydes, and fragrance fixatives. These chemicals often contain phthalates, which can suppress testosterone and alter reproductive hormone balance during adolescence. Tag formulas frequently contain propylene glycol, which enhances chemical penetration, especially on freshly shaved underarms. Its antibacterial and odor-neutralizing agents can disrupt the skin microbiome, reducing natural microbial diversity. Studies show that microbiome disruption can indirectly alter hormonal balance by affecting cortisol regulation and stress hormone processing. Because Tag is marketed to teens who overapply fragrances, exposure levels multiply quickly. Tag may smell bold, but its fragrance-heavy, hormone-interfering chemistry makes it one of the more concerning deodorants for younger users. Number 28. Power Stick from Dollar Tree. Power Stick uses extremely cheap synthetic fragrance blends, often containing unfiltered phthalates and fragrance stabilizers. These phthalates interfere with androgen signaling and reproductive hormone balance. Many Power Stick versions rely on formaldehyde-releasing preservatives, which are flagged for potential endocrine interference in long-term exposure. The formulas may also contain triclosan-style antibacterial agents, which disrupt thyroid hormones by affecting iodine pathways. Because Power Stick is sold at budget stores, quality control on fragrance purity tends to be minimal, increasing the likelihood of endocrine-active contaminants. It smells strong and lasts long, but Power Stick functions like a low-cost, high-risk hormone disruptor, especially for users applying it heavily to compensate for low protection. Number 27. Greenbrier deodorant from Dollar Tree. Greenbrier deodorants rely on very inexpensive fragrance chemicals, many of which fall into endocrine-active categories such as phthalates and synthetic musks. The formulas often include harsh preservatives, including potential formaldehyde releasers, or older preservative systems linked to hormonal interference. Greenbrier products sometimes use low-grade stabilizers and surfactants, which can irritate and thin the skin barrier. A weakened barrier increases absorption of fragrance and aluminum compounds into deeper tissue. Because the deodorant doesn't last as long, people reapply frequently, raising cumulative exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals. Greenbrier may be cheap, but hormonally, it behaves like a low-quality, high-exposure deodorant with questionable ingredient safety. Number 26. Equate deodorant from Walmart. Equate deodorants often copy major brands, meaning they contain similar hormone-disrupting ingredients, aluminum antiperspirant salts, phthalate-containing fragrances, parabens, PEGs, and penetration enhancers. The fragrance formulas in Equate products are typically stronger because cheaper stabilizers don't last as long, requiring higher chemical concentrations. Equate also uses BHT in many formulations, a preservative linked to disruptions in estrogen and thyroid hormone activity. Their formulas frequently include propylene glycol, increasing absorption of aluminum and fragrance chemicals. Because Equate is budget-friendly, users tend to overapply, multiplying daily chemical exposure. Equate may look like a simple generic alternative, but hormonally it mirrors many high-risk mainstream formulas, often with even fewer safeguards. Number 25. Up and Up deodorant. Up and Up deodorants use similar formulas to traditional antiperspirants, including aluminum-based sweat blockers, which can accumulate in underarm tissue and weakly mimic estrogen activity. Their fragrance systems rely on synthetic scent blends that commonly contain phthalates, which disrupt androgen and estrogen signaling. Several versions include parabens as preservatives, which act as weak estrogen mimics. Up and Up also uses PEG compounds that increase skin permeability, allowing deeper penetration of hormone-disrupting chemicals. Because people assume store-brand products are simpler or gentler, they often overlook the chemical profile. Up and Up is cost-effective, but hormonally it behaves like a full-strength endocrine disruptor, similar to name-brand counterparts. Number 24. Members Mark Deodorant. Members Mark antiperspirants contain high aluminum concentrations designed for long-lasting dryness. These aluminum salts may interact with estrogen receptors and accumulate in lymphatic tissue. The fragrance system includes synthetic musks and phthalates, two categories associated with hormone pathway interference and possible reproductive effects. Members Mark formulas often incorporate BHT and quaternary ammonium compounds, both of which have documented endocrine activity in lab studies. Because this is a bulk warehouse brand, users often apply generously and daily, increasing cumulative exposure. Members Mark may be affordable, but its high-load, aluminum phthalate-laced fragrance profile makes it hormonally concerning. Number 23. Kirkland Deodorant. Kirkland's regular deodorant line relies on traditional antiperspirant chemistry, including aluminum chlorohydrate, which has been studied for possible estrogen pathway interference. The fragrance blend typically includes DEP, a phthalate, used for scent longevity. DEP is associated with testosterone reduction and altered thyroid activity. Some Kirkland versions incorporate silicone carriers, which increase skin absorption and prolong exposure. Because the product is sold in multi-packs, users often stick to the same formula for long periods, increasing long-term endocrine burden. Kirkland may be cost-efficient, but hormonally it acts like a standard aluminum phthalate deodorant, with minimal safeguards. Number 22. Speed Zone Deodorant. Speed Zone looks like a simple, budget-friendly deodorant, but its formula contains a cocktail of ingredients that can interfere with your body's hormonal balance. The base of this deodorant relies on strong, long-lasting synthetic fragrances, which typically use phthalates as scent stabilizers. Phthalates are documented endocrine disruptors that can interfere with testosterone activity, lower androgen signaling, and alter estrogen pathways in both men and women. Several versions of Speed Zone use formaldehyde-releasing preservatives, which do more than just irritate the skin. They can influence hormone receptors at the cellular level when used repeatedly. Its formula often includes propylene glycol and PEG derivatives, which increase skin permeability, meaning the endocrine-disrupting chemicals in the fragrance blend can penetrate deeper into tissues. The deodorant also contains antibacterial agents that disrupt the underarm microbiome. Research shows that altering the microbiome can affect cortisol regulation and overall hormone stability. Number 21. Sure Deodorant. Sure Deodorant is marketed as a clean, basic antiperspirant, but its formula includes several ingredients known to interfere with endocrine function. The antiperspirant versions rely heavily on aluminum zirconium salts, which form plugs inside sweat glands but also accumulate in breast and lymph tissue over long-term use. Aluminum has shown weak estrogen-like activity in lab studies, suggesting potential hormonal interaction when used daily for years. Sure also uses synthetic fragrance complexes, many of which are stabilized with diethyl phthalate. DEP is a well-documented endocrine disruptor linked to decreased testosterone activity and irregular estrogen signaling. Its formula may include preservatives like BHT, which has been associated with hormonal receptor interference in repeated exposure scenarios. The spreadable texture of Sure Deodorant usually comes from silicone carriers, which increase chemical absorption through the delicate underarm area. Paired with daily application, often on freshly shaved skin, the risk of deep tissue exposure increases significantly. Sure feels simple and gentle, but hormonally it acts like a multi-pathway disruptor, affecting estrogen, thyroid, and androgen signaling over time. Number 20. Arid. Arid's strong antiperspirant formulas rely heavily on aluminum chlorohydrate, one of the most potent sweat-blocking compounds. Aluminum salts don't just plug sweat ducts, they can accumulate in the underarm area, where studies show they may bind weakly to estrogen receptors, potentially altering hormone signaling over long-term exposure. Arid also uses synthetic fragrance complexes designed to last all day, and these fragrances commonly contain phthalates, which are well-known endocrine disruptors that interfere with testosterone and estrogen pathways. Many arid formulas include propylene glycol and PEG compounds, which increase skin permeability and help other chemicals penetrate deeper into the skin. When combined with aluminum and phthalates, this deeper penetration increases hormonal exposure significantly. Arid's antibacterial additives can disrupt the skin's natural microbiome, which plays an important role in regulating cortisol and stress-related hormones. Because Arid promotes maximum strength protection, people tend to overapply it. That repeated layering of aluminum, phthalates, and preservatives turns Arid into a high-load endocrine-disrupting formula. Number 19. Fog deodorant. Fog deodorants are famous for their extremely strong, long-lasting scents. But that intensity comes from heavy synthetic fragrance chemicals, many of which are stabilized with phthalates. These phthalates act as hormone disruptors by altering estrogen and testosterone signaling. Fog's formula often includes synthetic musks, which accumulate in the body and have been studied for their endocrine interference potential. These musks can linger in fatty tissues, extending exposure far beyond the moment of application. Unlike simple stick deodorants, Fog is a concentrated spray, meaning users inhale the chemicals while also absorbing them through the skin, a dual exposure route. Some versions include BHT, or similar preservatives with documented hormone receptor interference. Because it's marketed for long-lasting body spray-style freshness, people tend to reapply multiple times a day. Fog might keep odor away for hours, but hormonally, it acts like a fragrance-heavy endocrine disruptor, exposing users to high levels of scent chemicals linked to hormone imbalance. Number 18. Yardley deodorant. Yardley is known for gentle soaps, but its regular line deodorants use a chemical profile very different from the natural image. Many versions contain synthetic fragrances formulated with phthalates, which disrupt androgen and estrogen pathways. Yardley also uses aluminum-based antiperspirant salts, which can accumulate in breast or lymph tissue and interact with estrogenic activity over time. Several versions include parabens, preservatives that behave like weak estrogen mimics. Continuous exposure to parabens can interfere with natural hormone rhythms, especially in women. Yardley's smooth glide texture often comes from silicone carriers that help fragrance chemicals penetrate deeper, increasing endocrine system exposure. Because Yardley's reputation feels old-fashioned and gentle, many users assume the deodorant is mild. But the combination of aluminum, parabens, phthalate-heavy fragrance makes it a hidden hormonal risk. Number 17. Nivea Men Deodorant. Nivea men's deodorants are built around long-lasting fragrance systems, which almost always contain phthalates for scent stability. These phthalates can interfere with testosterone production and disrupt natural hormone signaling in men. The antiperspirant versions use aluminum chlorohydrate, which can accumulate under the arms and has been studied for its estrogen-like behavior in tissue. Nivea often includes cyclic silicones, which improve spreadability but also increase ingredient penetration into the skin. Combined with aluminum and phthalates, this deep penetration can heighten endocrine exposure. Some formulas contain preservatives like BHT, which research suggests may affect hormone pathways when used routinely. Since Nivea Men targets athletes and heavy sweaters, applications tend to be thicker and more frequent, increasing exposure to hormone-disrupting chemicals. Nivea feels fresh and masculine, but its chemical profile acts as a testosterone-impacting, estrogen-interacting deodorant, especially with daily use. Number 16. Gillette Clear Gel. Gillette Clear Gel is popular for its invisible application, but that clear texture comes from multiple absorption enhancers like propylene glycol and PEG compounds. These ingredients open the skin barrier, allowing other chemicals such as aluminum and fragrance components to penetrate deeper and reach hormone-sensitive tissue. The product uses aluminum-based antiperspirant salts, which have been analyzed for their potential to interact with estrogen receptors and store in lymphatic regions. The gel's long-lasting scent relies on phthalate-containing fragrance stabilizers, which disrupt testosterone and estrogen balance by interfering with hormone receptors. Some Gillette Clear Gel formulas include preservatives, such as BHT, which has endocrine-disruptive properties at repeated exposure levels. Because the gel spreads easily, people often apply more than necessary, increasing daily chemical load. Number 15. Playboy Deodorant. Playboy deodorants are known for bold, strong scents built on synthetic musks, aldehydes, and phthalate-based fixatives. These chemicals have been studied for their ability to disrupt androgen signaling and affect reproductive hormone balance. Most Playboy variants are spray deodorants, meaning users inhale the chemical mist as well as absorb it through the skin, doubling endocrine exposure. The fragrances used in Playboy formulas tend to be more complex and layered, which increases the number of endocrine-active components inside the product. Some versions also contain preservatives like BHT, which can interfere with hormonal receptors over time. Marketed as a seductive scent, people often reapply more frequently, unaware that each spray adds more endocrine stress. Playboy might smell intense and youthful, but biochemically it acts like a fragrance-heavy, multi-route hormone disruptor, especially for teens and young adults. Number 14. Victoria's Secret Body Spray. Victoria's Secret body mists aren't designed to be deodorants, yet millions use them under the arms, creating a massive endocrine exposure problem. Body sprays rely on high concentrations of synthetic fragrances, usually containing phthalates, to make the scent last. These phthalates can mimic estrogen, disrupt testosterone, and interfere with thyroid hormone activity. Unlike sticks or gels, body sprays are inhaled directly, meaning endocrine-active fragrance chemicals enter both skin and lungs. This dual exposure dramatically increases hormonal impact. Many VS mists include synthetic musks like galaxolide and tonalide, which accumulate in fatty tissues and have documented endocrine-disrupting potential. Preservatives, alcohol carriers, and aerosol solvents further weaken the skin barrier, making underarm absorption stronger. Because users spray generously and multiple times per day, the chemical load increases fast. Victoria's Secret may smell glamorous, but when used as deodorant, it becomes a high-volume, inhaled and absorbed endocrine disruptor. Number 13. Bath & Body Works Body Spray. Bath & Body Works sprays are not made for underarms, yet millions use them as deodorants. These mists contain extremely concentrated synthetic fragrance complexes, usually stabilized with heavy phthalates, which disrupt estrogen, androgen, and thyroid hormone pathways. The fragrance load is much higher than typical deodorants, meaning the user absorbs far more endocrine-active compounds per spray. Because these are aerosolized mists, exposure happens through skin and lungs, doubling hormonal impact. Bath & Body Works sprays often contain synthetic musks, like galaxolide, known to accumulate in fatty tissues and interfere with hormone receptors over long-term exposure. The alcohol and solvent base also breaks down the skin barrier, increasing chemical penetration when sprayed directly on underarms. Since people mist themselves multiple times daily, the cumulative effect becomes significant. Number 12. Tom's of Maine. Tom's of Maine seems natural, but the regular fragrance line contains phthalate-based synthetic fragrances that interfere with hormone signaling. Many consumers assume Tom's is clean across the board, but only the unscented or no fragrance added versions avoid these chemicals. Some Tom's formulas also use propylene glycol, which increases absorption of the fragrance chemicals deeper into the skin, where endocrine interaction becomes more likely. Tom's uses natural fragrance oils, but these often contain isolated aromatic compounds that behave like endocrine-active scent molecules. Natural doesn't automatically mean hormone safe. Several formulas include preservatives and ethylhexyl glycerin, which can irritate the skin barrier and make hormone-active chemicals absorb faster. Tom's may feel safer, but fragrance-containing versions can still disrupt estrogen and thyroid hormone pathways. This is a surprising example of how a natural brand can still function as a quiet endocrine disruptor if the wrong version is used. Number 11. Malin plus Goats Eucalyptus Deodorant. Malin plus Goats markets itself as luxury and minimalist, but the eucalyptus version contains strong essential oil derivatives that can influence hormone signaling. Eucalyptus oil contains 1,8-cineol, a compound with documented estrogenic activity at certain concentrations. Although aluminum-free, the formula includes fragrance components, which may still contain phthalates for stability. Even natural fragrances can disturb hormonal pathways when used daily. The deodorant also uses propylene glycol, which increases skin penetration and helps endocrine-active compounds reach deeper tissues. The cooling sensation from eucalyptus can mask irritation, causing users to apply more than necessary. Malin plus Goats presents itself as clean, but the eucalyptus blend behaves like a natural-sounding formula with hidden endocrine interaction, especially for long-term daily use. Number 10. Everyman Jack. Everyman Jack's fragrance line uses essential oil blends mixed with synthetic aromatic stabilizers. Essential oils like cedarwood, sandalwood, or patchouli may have natural, estrogenic, or anti-androgenic activity, especially when used routinely on thin underarm skin. These formulas also contain propylene glycol, which enhances absorption of both natural and synthetic endocrine-active compounds. Even though the brand is natural-leaning, their scented line contains fragrance isolates, which can include hormone-interacting chemicals similar to those in drugstore deodorants. Some versions contain preservatives and sodium benzoate, which can irritate the skin barrier, increasing chemical penetration. Everyman Jack's clean fragrance line might sound safe, but the mix of essential oil estrogens plus synthetic stabilizers creates a surprising endocrine load, especially for men. Number 9. 4711 deodorant. 4000. 711 is known for classical perfumery, and its deodorant forms rely almost entirely on perfume-grade synthetic aromatics. These aromatic compounds often include nitromusks and polycyclic musks, both linked to hormone disruption through estrogen mimicry and thyroid interference. Because 4711 uses a high fragrance concentration, the chemical load absorbed per use is significantly higher than mainstream deodorants. The alcohol base used in these deodorants thins the skin barrier temporarily, enhancing penetration of endocrine-active compounds. 4711 also uses preservative systems associated with hormonal receptor interference when used long-term. Classic scent or not, the 4711 deodorant operates like a perfume-strength hormonal disruptor, especially when applied to freshly shaved skin. Number 8. Jovan Musk Deodorant. Jovan Musk's signature scent comes from synthetic musks, which have repeatedly been linked in research to endocrine disruption, including interference with estrogen, androgen, and thyroid hormone pathways. These musks accumulate in fatty tissue and remain in the body much longer than typical fragrance molecules. Jovan's deodorant formulas also include strong fragrance fixatives, often stabilized with phthalates. Combined, they create a powerful endocrine load. Many Jovan formulas contain alcohol and silicone carriers that improve skin penetration of scent chemicals. Because users apply heavily to achieve the iconic musk scent, exposure increases dramatically. Musky and bold, yes, but hormonally, Jovan Musk behaves like a deep, penetrating, long-retained endocrine disruptor. Number 7. Bodman Deodorant. Bodman body sprays rely on aggressive, long-lasting fragrance chemicals, including phthalates that interfere with testosterone and estrogen balance. The sprays also contain synthetic musks and aldehydes that linger on skin for hours, extending hormonal exposure. Because Bodman is used as a body spray deodorant, users often mist themselves multiple times daily, increasing inhalation and skin absorption. The formula includes ethanol, which temporarily weakens the skin barrier and increases penetration of endocrine-active fragrance stabilizers. Bodman may smell strong and energetic, but from an endocrine standpoint, it functions as a dual-route hormone disruptor. Number 6. English Leather Deodorant. English Leather uses old-style perfumery ingredients, including synthetic musks, coumarin, and fixatives associated with endocrine interference. These ingredients can mimic hormonal structure and attach to receptors meant for natural hormones. The deodorant base typically includes alcohol and solvent carriers, increasing skin permeability and helping hormone-disrupting fragrance molecules move deeper into tissue. Because English Leather is marketed for older men, many users apply heavily to maintain the classic scent throughout the day. The combination of musks, coumarin derivatives, and penetration enhancers makes English Leather a classic-smelling but hormonally risky deodorant. Number 5. Yardley Perfumed Deodorant. Different from the regular line, Yardley's perfume deodorants contain heavier fragrance compositions using phthalates and strong scent chemicals. These fragrances can disrupt both estrogen and androgen pathways. The perfumed spray versions create inhalation exposure, increasing total endocrine burden. The formulas also contain alcohol solvents that weaken skin barrier function, allowing deeper penetration of hormone-active compounds. Preservatives like BHT or older aromatic stabilizers add another layer of endocrine interference. Despite the classic floral image, Yardley perfume deodorants behave like strong, fragrance-driven endocrine disruptors, especially with daily use. Number 4. Revlon Charlie Body Spray. Charlie sprays are iconic, but they rely on high concentrations of synthetic fragrance molecules, including phthalates and polycyclic musks linked to hormonal disruption. As a spray, these chemicals are inhaled, and absorbed, creating a double exposure pathway. The alcohol base increases skin permeability for several minutes after application, enhancing absorption of endocrine active compounds. Charlie formulas also include aromatic aldehydes, known for estrogenic behavior in lab studies. Because users often reapply throughout the day, chemical load accumulates quickly. Charlie may be nostalgic, but hormonally it behaves like a heavy scent, high-exposure endocrine disruptor. Number 3. Dollar General Deodorant. DG body deodorants use extremely low-cost fragrance chemicals stabilized with phthalates, known endocrine disruptors. Preservatives and fragrance carriers in these formulas often include older, harsher chemicals such as BHT or formaldehyde releasers, both associated with hormonal interference risks. Because they provide weaker odor protection, users overapply, increasing daily exposure. The formula may contain PEGs and propylene glycol, which enhance chemical penetration. DG Body is affordable, but hormonally it behaves like a budget-level endocrine disruptor with minimal ingredient safeguards. Number 2. Family Dollar Deodorant. FD Men deodorants look simple and harmless, but the ingredient list tells a very different story, one that directly affects hormonal balance. These budget formulas rely on low-grade synthetic fragrances that are almost always stabilized with unfiltered phthalates, chemicals known to disrupt androgen and estrogen signaling. Phthalates can alter testosterone production, interrupt estrogen pathways, and interfere with thyroid hormone conversion, making them some of the most concerning additives in personal care products. FD Men also uses penetration-enhancing ingredients, like propylene glycol and PEG compounds, which open the skin barrier and allow even more fragrance chemicals to enter deeper layers of tissue. Combined with the fact that people reapply these deodorants frequently due to weak protection, total exposure becomes much higher than expected. Several versions include older preservative systems, such as formaldehyde-releasing agents or BHT, both associated with hormone receptor interference in long-term exposure studies. The alcohol base in spray versions further increases absorption by thinning the skin barrier. Number 1. American Crew Deodorant. American Crew carries a premium, barbershop-style image, but the deodorant formula itself is loaded with ingredients that interact with the endocrine system. The brand uses complex, luxury-style fragrance compositions, which often include phthalates and polycyclic musks, two categories strongly associated with hormonal disruption. These chemicals can mimic estrogen, interfere with testosterone signaling, and alter thyroid hormone balance when used consistently. American Crew also relies on PEG compounds and silicone carriers, which improve spreadability but also increase ingredient penetration. This makes the hormone-active fragrance molecules reach deeper layers of the skin, closer to lymph nodes and hormone-sensitive tissue. Some versions contain BHT and other aromatic preservatives linked to endocrine receptor interference. Because American Crew is marketed as professional grade, people tend to apply generously every day, unknowingly increasing cumulative hormone exposure. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. Not every deodorant is packed with hormone-disrupting chemicals and synthetic fragrances. Some brands are actually clean, safe, and gentle enough for daily use. For example, Number 10. Native Unscented. Native Unscented stays hormone safe because it avoids the biggest endocrine disruptors found in drugstore deodorants: no aluminum, no artificial fragrances, and no phthalates. The formula uses simple, food-grade ingredients like coconut oil, baking soda, magnesium hydroxide, and tapioca starch to neutralize odor naturally without affecting sweat gland function. Because it contains zero synthetic fragrance, you eliminate the largest source of hormone-disrupting chemicals in deodorants. Native also avoids parabens, triclosan, and PEG penetration enhancers, keeping the skin barrier intact so chemicals don't get pushed deeper into tissue. The formula relies on natural antimicrobial compounds that don't interfere with hormonal pathways or thyroid function. If you want a deodorant that keeps odor away while keeping hormone exposure extremely low, Native Unscented is a clean, dependable, non-endocrine active option you can use daily without worry. Number 9. Schmidt's Fragrance Free. Schmidt's Fragrance Free removes the biggest hormonal risk synthetic scent chemicals by eliminating fragrance entirely. Without phthalates or aromatic stabilizers, the formula stays clean and hormone neutral. It uses magnesium hydroxide to control odor rather than aluminum, which means it doesn't interfere with sweat gland function or mimic estrogen activity. Coconut oil and arrowroot powder absorb moisture naturally without forcing sweat blockage, keeping your body's thermoregulation system intact. Schmidt's also avoids parabens, triclosan, BHT, and silicones, so there are zero endocrine active preservatives or penetration enhancers. It's ideal for sensitive skin because there's no artificial scent to irritate or thin the skin barrier. If you need dependable odor protection without worrying about hormonal interference, Schmidt's Fragrance Free is a simple, clean, hormone-safe deodorant. Number 8. Primally Pure Deodorant. Primally Pure uses grass-fed tallow, kale and clay, and organic essential oils, avoiding synthetic fragrance entirely. While essential oils can be strong, Primally Pure formulates them at low, safe concentrations that don't mimic estrogen or interfere with hormonal pathways. The deodorant uses arrowroot, zinc oxide, and baking soda to neutralize odor naturally, meaning no aluminum salts and no sweat-blocking chemicals. The formula avoids silicones, PEGs, and propylene glycol, so nothing forces deeper absorption into the skin. Your underarm microbiome stays balanced, which indirectly helps regulate cortisol and stress hormones. Primally Pure stays extremely clean, making it great for people trying to lower their daily exposure to endocrine-active ingredients. Overall, it's a whole food-based, hormone-safe deodorant with premium performance and zero synthetic disruptors. Number 7. Lume Unscented. Lume Unscented is designed to be microbiome-friendly, using mandelic acid to reduce odor by controlling bacterial growth without disrupting hormone pathways. This approach avoids aluminum, parabens, triclosan, and phthalates entirely. Because it is unscented, there are no synthetic fragrances, meaning no phthalates, the biggest hormone disruptors in mainstream deodorants. Lume's formula doesn't use PEG compounds or silicones, so nothing increases chemical penetration. The ingredients sit on the skin surface, instead of traveling deep into tissue. It also avoids baking soda, making it safe for sensitive underarms without damaging the skin barrier. Lume Unscented is ideal for people wanting clinical-level odor control with absolutely no endocrine-active ingredients. It's a true hormone-neutral deodorant with science-backed odor protection. Number 6. Each and Every uses 6 to 7 simple ingredients, each carefully sourced to avoid hormone interference. There are no parabens, no aluminum salts, no phthalates, and no artificial fragrances, only botanical essential oils or unscented options. The formula includes magnesium, which neutralizes odor naturally without blocking sweat glands or affecting hormonal pathways. Coconut oil and tapioca starch help manage moisture without forcing absorption deeper into the skin. Each and Every is made without PEGs or alcohols, meaning the skin barrier stays healthy and chemical penetration remains minimal. The packaging also avoids chemical contamination since it's plant-based and BPA-free. If you want a minimalist, genuinely clean deodorant with zero endocrine disruptors, Each and Every is one of the safest mainstream options. Number 5. Type A deodorant. Type A uses a unique sweat-activated powder technology, but without aluminum, parabens, triclosan, or phthalates. Instead of blocking sweat ducts, it absorbs moisture naturally, once activated by warmth. The formula avoids artificial fragrance. Scented versions use low-impact essential oils, while unscented versions are completely neutral. It uses arrowroot powder, tapioca starch, and safe plant-derived emulsifiers, none of which interact with hormonal receptors. Type A also avoids PEGs and harsh solvents, keeping the skin barrier intact. This deodorant is formulated specifically to minimize chemical interaction with the body while maintaining strong daily protection. It's a modern, hormone-safe upgrade for anyone switching from drugstore antiperspirants. Number 4. Crystal Mineral Salt Deodorant. Crystal Mineral Salt Deodorant is one of the safest options for anyone trying to avoid hormone-disrupting chemicals. Instead of aluminum chloral hydrate or aluminum zirconium, the compounds found in antiperspirants, Crystal uses potassium alum, a natural mineral salt that stays on top of the skin rather than entering it. Scientific reviews show that potassium alum molecules are too large to penetrate the skin barrier, meaning they do not accumulate in breast tissue or interact with estrogen receptors the way traditional antiperspirant salts can. The deodorant works by creating a light, invisible salt layer that prevents odor-causing bacteria from multiplying, without blocking sweat ducts or interfering with the body's natural cooling process. Since it contains no synthetic fragrances, no phthalates, no parabens, no PEGs, no silicones, and no triclosan, you completely avoid all major endocrine-disrupting categories found in mainstream deodorants. Crystal is also ideal for sensitive skin because it doesn't rely on baking soda or harsh preservatives. It's simple, effective, and extremely low exposure, making it a true hormone-neutral deodorant that keeps you fresh without affecting your endocrine system. Number 3. Routine Natural Deodorant. Routine Natural Deodorant stands out because it avoids every major category of hormone-disrupting chemicals. Instead of aluminum or synthetic fragrances, Routine uses a base of magnesium, kaolin clay, coconut oil, and plant waxes to neutralize odor naturally. These ingredients work on the skin's surface without blocking sweat glands, keeping your body's temperature regulation and hormonal balance untouched. Routine doesn't use phthalates, parabens, triclosan, PEGs, silicones, or petroleum-derived fragrance stabilizers. Even their scented versions rely on low-impact essential oil blends, formulated at levels that avoid estrogenic or anti-androgenic activity. Because the formula supports a healthy underarm microbiome, it may also indirectly help stabilize cortisol and reduce irritation for sensitive users. The texture is smooth, non-irritating, and free from baking soda in several versions, making it suitable for those prone to redness or barrier sensitivity. Routine is a high-quality, hormone-neutral deodorant crafted to deliver strong odor control without exposing your body to chemicals that mimic or interrupt natural hormone signaling. Number 2. Little Seed Farm Deodorant. Little Seed Farm is one of the cleanest hormone-safe deodorants available because it is made with organic, farm-grown ingredients and avoids all synthetic fragrance chemicals, the biggest source of endocrine disruption in typical deodorants. It uses magnesium hydroxide, coconut oil, zinc oxide, and arrowroot to control odor at the surface level without blocking sweat glands or interfering with any hormonal pathways. The formula contains no parabens, aluminum salts, triclosan, PEGs, silicones, propylene glycol, artificial fragrance, or phthalate-based stabilizers. Because ingredients are produced in small batches and minimally processed, contamination risk with hormone-active impurities remains extremely low. Little Seed Farm also focuses on skin health, supporting the underarm microbiome, which has indirect benefits for cortisol regulation and inflammation control. Since the deodorant comes in sustainable, non-reactive packaging, there's no risk of endocrine-active chemicals leaching from the container. Clean, gentle, and high-performing, this deodorant delivers effective odor protection while staying completely hormone neutral. Number 1. Hey Humans Natural Deodorant. Hey Humans is designed specifically with hormone safety in mind, eliminating all major endocrine disruptors including aluminum, parabens, phthalates, triclosan, PEG compounds, synthetic musks, and petroleum-derived fragrance carriers. Instead, it uses magnesium hydroxide to neutralize odor naturally, which keeps sweat glands functioning normally without interacting with estrogen or testosterone pathways. Scented versions rely on plant-based essential oils, while the unscented option is fully fragrance-free, making it ideal for those wanting zero exposure to hormone-mimicking chemicals. The formula includes coconut oil, shea butter, and natural waxes to maintain skin moisture and strengthen the barrier, preventing unnecessary absorption of environmental chemicals. Hey Humans also stands out because its packaging is plastic-free and toxin-free, reducing the risk of BPA or BPS exposure chemicals that also interfere with hormonal balance. With clean ingredients, safe scents, and strong deodorizing power, Hey Humans is a truly hormone-safe daily deodorant for anyone trying to minimize chemical exposure.